Hi everyone, welcome to my looking back at February. First book I read in February was Secret by Brigid Kemmerer. This is Nick's story of falling in love and has some homosexuality. If you're reading the ebooks in between these books, you'd already know that, so it's not really a spoiler. But if not, well, yeah. Okay. It's such a heart-wrenching story, and Brigid, you had me doing the ugly cry on public transport. Yeah, thanks. Next book I read in February was Shadowfell by Juliette Marillier. This book took me a little bit longer to read than I thought it would. It's high fantasy, so if that's your type of thing, seriously go and hop into it. It was the Burn Bright Book Club book for February, and we pretty much all enjoyed it. Third book I read was Breathe by Sarah Crossan, and that was in preparation for reading Resist by Sarah Crossan. This was my review book. If you have no interest in science, don't want to Google science, and don't care about science in general, this is the book for you. There's a lot of science in it, but please don't Google it because there are so many inconsistencies, inaccuracies, and things that are just bleeding obviously wrong that if you have any interest in science whatsoever, it drives you completely nuts. Anyway, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 books. Fifth book I read in February was A Corner of White. I think probably borrowing this book from the library rather than buying it like I did is a better idea. It lays a lot of groundwork for the second book, which I'll show you in a minute. But essentially, the last 20 pages are the only bits that technically matter. So there's a lot of pages there that probably don't need to be there. Beautiful cover. Love this cover very much. It's a lot better than the other cover that I've seen a lot of other booktubers with. This one I feel has more emotion in it, so I love that one. It took me longer to finish this than it did to read all the other books previously. So I nearly put it down. It takes a lot to make me put a book down and not pick it back up again, but I was almost there. And I'm kind of glad I read to the end because it made the second book in this duo really, really pop. While I was reading this one, I also read Peacemaker by Marianne Depierre, and go and get yourself a copy of this book when it comes out in late April, because you will completely thank yourself for doing it. It has so many different genres mixed up into this amazing gumbo of just awesomeness. You've got a lot of Native American sort of stuff in there. There's fantasy, there's old western, there is just how Marianne has been able to sculpt this book into something so incredibly, amazingly fluid. And I would say fluid because it just molds itself to what it needs to be. You know, you've got a lot of things in there that wouldn't necessarily gel with another author, but for Marianne, she's able to put that stuff together and make it just, so consumable. And I think I spent more time charging my tablet than I did reading it to get that book finished. And that's saying something because, you know. Anyway, the last book in February was The Cracks in the Kingdom by Jacqueline Moriarty. Now this is the final book in the duo with this one. I personally think if they took the last 20 or so pages of this book, stuck it in the front of this book, there would be no need for 2 books. That's how amazing this book is. This one has the speed, the pace, the tension. It's fantastic. You know, if it wasn't for the slow start in the first book, and I don't know how it got all these literary awards because I personally spent more time going, why am I reading that? Why should I care? I don't care. Until the last 20 pages and I'm like, hang on, now I care. Now I get it. But this book is just, it took me less time to read this book than it took me to read almost any other book this month. I think the only book I got read faster was Secret by Bridget Kemmerer, and that's because it was Bridget Kemmerer. So this is a 500-page whopper. You know, it's not a little book, and I got it done in just a little bit over what I got read with Secret. And like, seriously, borrow the other one from the library. Maybe trudge your way through it. If you can't find a point, skip to like the last 20 pages. You'll get it. Then you read this one and you're going, no! It's a brilliantly written book. This matters. This one drove me bonkers. So no, yes, 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 yes. And that was my looking back at February with books. Go grab a book, have a read, enjoy something, find something that makes you smile. And I'll see you in April. Bye! I'll put the thing there. And I promise you, there is that one moment in there where you'll go, no!